I'm running for City Council for District 8. And the reason I'm kind of running and I feel qualified is just because of the work that I've put in throughout my entire life. I am 22 years old, so that I'm not going to be naive to think that I will have so many things accomplished. But with me working on the Student Advisory Council with the superintendent and sitting on the school board, that's kind of where I got my foot into the door of local government and realized that I had an interest in that. So from there, I, ran for school board. That didn't happen, but I'm fortunate that that didn't happen because I was able to continue to build relationships and other doors were to open, which led me ultimately where we are today, running for city council. With my military experience, being able to communicate with all kinds of types of people, I think it was just time for a representative that was going to put the people over politics. I mean, we have substantial issues and pressing issues that run very deep back to early days. And I just think it's time for a representative that's going to come in and that their sole focus is going to be on fixing those issues. So what are those? Some of those are equitable housing, making sure that we're having affordable and quality housing for our constituents, sustainable neighborhoods, making sure our constituents feel safe. I think that one of the things that I would love to do is to start to hold the police department accountable by having more open and honest conversations between the police department and our constituents so we can move forward. I definitely think that it's time for us to do some reform, but also to move forward with that reform.
I'm running for City Council, District 8. I am the sitting incumbent, so I hold the seat right now. And what makes me, to me, more qualified than my other candidates or people that are here because I understand the job a lot better now. And I think that's one of the biggest priorities that I have in the 4 years that I've been here, with all the work that we've done and all the things that this council have been able to do for the city. It's so much more that we want to do, but we realize that, due to issues at the state level that trumps us to where we can't move things forward. I kind of learned the place and the operations of a city council person. And so by me being just able to understand the people and understand the community now with the experience that I've had over 4 years, I get what people want when it comes to Clifton Hills and flooding, when it comes to Lincoln Park, the park and speed humps, when it comes to Holland Park and Airbnbs, just when you look at what people have been fighting for years, I just think I've been at school, the community invested in 4 years of education. And now this next term, it's time for them to pay off for their investment.
For the last probably about 15 years, when I moved into the Woodmore neighborhood, I joined the neighborhood association. At that time, my mother and I and my sister, we bought a house in Woodmore, and my kids and nephews, they attended the Woodmore Elementary School, Dalewood and Brainerd. So, and I was a working parent. And I just always participated in PTA meetings and field trips. And so along with doing that, I joined the neighborhood association. And I just love, uniting with others for the betterment of our communities and schools. So I just took to it. And then once I married Fred, we moved over into the North Brainerd area. And I just joined the the neighborhood association in that area, in our area. And we have a lot of professional homeowners, retirees, and they are all members. And it was so impressive to join homeowners and homeowner neighborhood association and, working together to get sidewalks and community improvement. We've done a lot. And I just see so much, we see so much that we need to continue doing to improve our community, our district. Matter of fact, all the communities on the other side, on the east side of the tunnels, we need more attention. And, I've been so encouraged to take the torch up again to run for council. And the timing is perfect. I'm retired. I retired from UTC after 37 years. And so I have a lot of free time.
I think I'm the most qualified candidate to take on this role because I bring a level of leadership experience in this community. As a CEO, I own a transportation company. I also started a nonprofit called the Chattanooga Urban Policy Institute, where we work to reduce crime in our communities and create opportunities for those who've been previously incarcerated. I'm also the vice chair of the Hamilton County Democratic Party, so I'm very politically engaged in promoting progressive ideas and values in our community. And I just have the relationships I think that it'll take to foster change and to bring about new policy ideas to move District 5 forward. And I hope to take those relationships and this leadership experience and to help make a difference for the lives of the people in my community.
What I prioritize myself in doing is that uniting my entire district from Missionary Ridge to East Chattanooga and everybody in between to make sure that they understand that their voice matters, right? And if we all advocate for every community, right, then we can begin to make strides within, tackling the issues that affect our district. And I made it a priority to, work with the chamber to recruit businesses and for them to really understand like the layout of Chattanooga, the issues and the obstacles that we have here in Chattanooga with people obtaining jobs. So people that have been incarcerated, those background issues and how they can still be put in the pipelines to obtain employment. So employers won't have to reach out to outsiders outside of our city. And we've also, for District 9, we've pushed initiative and passed and supported for affordable housing, not just getting $1 million additional dollars to support it and sustain it for organizations that build housing that's affordable or contract out to developers as incentives. But we've made sure to, keep our sound housing affordable that we have. Like when we're thinking about the Bayberry apartments, when we're talking about Battery Heights and those apartment complexes there, we wanted to make sure that we have in place for the next 30 years that people can have somewhere to live that's affordable for them.
Running for City Council District 7. I'm qualified because I'm community conscious, I'm dependable, and I am accountable. I worked in the community for over 20 years doing civic engagement activities, voter education, registration, and participation activities. I've put together candidate forums. Currently, I work as the executive director of the Net Resource Foundation, as well as the administrator at the Westside Church. I sit on several boards and I still work with voter engagement activities. It's a little bit small scale because I am running for city council. So that qualifies me. I love people. I'm dependable, accountable, community conscious. And my top 3 priorities, as I went out to canvas and talked to people, I've shaped them around that. My first is neighborhood equity. Neighborhood equity ensures that each community in District 7 receives the resources and support that they need to thrive. The district is so diverse. We have Eastlake, Alton Park, St. Elmo. We have Coward Street and Coward Place and Main Street, down on Cameron Harbor, Battery Place. So it is a huge district, a very diverse district. So each community has its own specific needs that need to be addressed. So that is my top priority.
I've worked in factories for 35 years. I've been the head of technical management for the last 25 years, with 24 of it up in Cleveland, Tennessee. So I've had to build collaboration within my team, and that's engineers, mechanics, scientists, data entry. So a little bit of broad group of folks, but I've also had to build collaboration with folks outside the plant, like marketing, R&D, finance, in order to launch new products. So I feel that I've got strong collaboration skills. As an engineer, I love to solve problems. So as we go into this election and coming out of it, we could have 7 new council members and we'll definitely have a new mayor. So if we do not collaborate well initially, we're going to lose valuable time. And that takes me to my first priority, which is people. And I think the first thing that a lot of folks are looking at is a response to COVID and what can we do to help families and small businesses get the assistance that they need using our existing agencies and services. But then we need to get creative and see how we can expand those services. And that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
I have been involved in this community for many years. Chattanooga is my passion. I've had the opportunity to sort of serve at City Hall as chief of staff. I've had the opportunity to serve on sort of 2 nonprofit, or as president and CEOs of 2 nonprofit boards, and have feel like I've made a difference in moving our community forward during these years. I stepped down from the Enterprise Center a year ago last September, had a chance to recharge, as you called it. It was my gap year. And so I feel like now I can, I have a lot to offer to be on city council, both to my neighborhoods, both with city council, who are, several of them are friends and colleagues, and then to the new mayor.
We've come a long way, 12 years of Russell Gilbert, but I want to move the needle further. I want to take us on further to higher heights. I have a servant's heart. I want to be the voice of the people. I want to advocate for District 5. I'm a fighter. I want to fight for $15 an hour in benefits for city workers who are working 2 and 3 jobs. I want to fight for early childhood development education so no child can be left alone. I want to fight for small businesses so the people in District 5 can begin to have small business and build a reality, not only for themselves, but their children come. That's why I'm running for District 5 City Council, to build back better, stronger families and stronger communities. Thank you.
I am a mom of 2 teenagers. I am a small business owner, started a company 19 years ago with my husband called Paper Cut Interactive. We do web development for large companies in Chattanooga and elsewhere, including folks like Rock City and Ruby Falls and Road Tech. So that experience has given me a lot of insight into what it is to set priorities, to think long-term, and also customer service. I also serve on the school board for District 6 and represent a large number of voters within City Council District 2. That has given me a great deal of knowledge about how to work within an elected body to make things happen. Also, as part of that work, I'm managing a budget of more than $430 million a year. And so I understand just the intricacies of revenue projections, of setting priorities for how we achieve our goals. And I've also spent about a decade just being in our community in the volunteer space. So working as a volunteer and also serving on boards for groups that help prevent immediate homelessness, and also most recently on the board of Chattanooga Neighborhood Enterprise, where I have for an entire year been working with a team of people from all over our community to examine affordable housing and how we can make sure that all of the neighborhoods in Chattanooga thrive and are a good place to live.
I'm a pastor. I've been pastoring for 44 years, 12 of which here in Chattanooga. I pastor in 2 churches, Bethel AME Church and Joseph Chapel AME Church. Bethel's in the Churchville community and Joseph Chapel is in the Bozentown community. And I believe that my relationship with members, with parishioners, and developing relationships within a congregation and within a community, I want to take those expertise to a larger level. I want to be able to build relationships, and building relationships builds communities.
I am 30 years of age. I have been a lifelong resident of District 5 and of Chattanooga. What kind of qualifies me to run for City Council is I'm a constituent. I have been a lifelong member of this community, and I do wholeheartedly believe when it concerns local politics, it should be the residents and local citizens that are responsible for taking care of local business. I have been a community activist. I've worked in the community through my church. I've done community work, fundraising events, all of these different type of things that can help our community come together and grow. One of the reasons why I decided to run is because we've seen a lot in politics at large, in federal government and local government. We've seen leadership that just has not put the needs of the people at the forefront. And I know some people may say, oh, well, every politician says that, and I don't want to hear that. I understand you completely because I'm a constituent just like you. I am not a politician. I have never been in politics before, although I am not naive to what politics entails. I do believe that we need someone that understands what everyday people deal with. And that is the reason why I want to run, or why I am running, rather.
I am running for a second term as the District 4 City Council representative. And I feel that I am the best qualified candidate because I have tremendous experience so far on council. I have been instrumental in helping move the city forward in a lot of different areas, including tornado recovery. Unfortunately, that hit our district. I currently chair the Planning and Zoning Committee for the city, which allows me to also serve as a planning commissioner on the Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. This is very critical in District 4 because we are experiencing tremendous growth, but we also have to maintain a very delicate balance with the suburban fabric that so many people move to our area. So through planning and zoning and through now I think almost 600 cases, I've learned quite a bit about how to structure and our zoning laws. And we're actually right now under a complete citywide assessment done by our consultant that we hired, Camrose. And I'm actually part of that team of 2 on council that's overseeing that, which is very critical in understanding future zoning laws to address a lot of different things, Sarah Grace, including affordable housing.
I felt like that there was a need to get into this race. I've watched the way Chattanooga politics has operated over the last 8 or 10 years, and it feels to me like we're less and less sort of interested in input and interaction between city government and the citizens of Chattanooga. And I've sort of sat on the sidelines and talked about what should operate differently, and decided that rather than keep talking about it to my friends and family members, it was time to step up and try to do something about making Chattanooga city government more responsive to the needs of citizens and making sure that we're setting priorities that put the city on a path to greater success. We obviously live in a fabulous city where a tremendous amount of good things have happened over the course of the last 30 years. I moved here back in 1992, and boy, has it changed a lot. But there's still a lot of work left to do, and I think a good cooperative arrangement between the city council and the mayor's office is important in setting a good footing for us being able to really take the city to the next level. And you asked the question, what would my top priorities be? Obviously, one of those is making sure that the city of Chattanooga treats its citizens like customers. I'm a business person. We bend over backwards to take care of our customers and realize that they're the lifeblood of what we do. Without them, we'd have no business. And I think the city has lost sight in some regards to what they exist for, city government, which is to look after the needs of citizens.
So qualifications, I have a long career in business, specifically in the financial services industry, working with entrepreneurs and business owners to help them build their businesses as well as provide for the future and the goals they have for themselves and their families. My career spans almost 40 years in that realm. Additionally, I've held public office before. I'm not a Chattanooga native. I moved here with my family about 4.5 years ago from the Chicago area. And while our tenure up there was pretty long, I ran for the Board of Education of a fairly large school district in which we were residing, one of the largest school districts in Illinois outside of Chicago, and I was elected to that Board of Education. So yeah, I do have experience in, let's call it, the political realm. Additionally, I've spent a good deal of my adult life in volunteer activities, right, with organizations focused on assisting and providing support for individuals with disabilities, early childhood, and of course, being on a public school board of education with education generally. So I think when you take a look at that whole package, I bring a pretty good skill set or background to running for the city council. Highest priorities, I would say number one, I live in a district that was impacted by the tornado. In fact, my family lost our house in the tornado. So I fully understand what it means to need help. I think our representation on the city council, given that event and certainly the pandemic, which is affecting all of us, I think our representation in District 4 can be upgraded and be a little more better and more responsive. And I think the priority obviously would be recovery, right? Certainly for the district, certainly for those impacted by tornado, impacted by COVID, and those impacts have been, you know, as we all know, very widespread and very deep.
I would say the thing that qualifies me to be a candidate would be being a public servant, serving the people, whether that is having served people as a protest organizer and leader, whether that is working with so many different organizations from labor unions in the community to the Unity Group, CCJ, Community Control Now. I'm just looking to serve the people at another level and be an agent of change beyond just a particular community, but to my city at large. The greatest priority that I think that we have is really in Chattanooga to focus on how are we going to expand services to the people in the city of Chattanooga. One of the things that has come out of the budgeting for outcomes process was increased services, whether we're talking about behavioral, mental health, increasing services to the people as far as in this COVID-19 pandemic, whether we're talking about vaccination, continued testing, when we are talking about services like making sure people stay in their homes and don't lose roofs over their heads, and small businesses can remain open so they can employ our people, just expanding services, and not for handouts, but just hands up for the people who are just struggling in this current day and age.
This is actually my second time running for public office. Prior to this, I did 6 years at the election commission as the election commissioner. And so I had a great opportunity to be able to see how the political system works, how to have meetings and work with both sides on different issues as it comes to elections and voting and things of that nature. And so I've had a great opportunity. I've also had an opportunity to do enormous partnerships with different entities in the city of Chattanooga on jobs, helping with jobs, helping with GEDs. I did some extensive work helping with the gangs and helping them get stuff expunged. And so I've been able to do those things. I'm currently now on the Hamilton County Juvenile Court Board for foster care. So I do that as well over there with Judge Filiot and that great staff over there at Juvenile Court. And so I'm running because I was asked by people in the community, you know, to run, and their issues was safety. A lot of seniors was having an issue that, you know, they're retired now and they would love to sit on their porch and be in their gardens and do those different things, but because of safety, you know, drive-by shootings, gang violence, and those type of things, they are afraid to sit on a porch. And so that was a major concern for the constituents. So it became a concern for me because my issues is not me. My issues is for the people of the community.
I believe that what I ran on initially back in 2013 when I was elected, I stuck to, I got done. I continue to stick to that. The priorities really haven't changed. Of course, we have some nuances, but for District 3 in general, a lot of the priorities are very much the same, from public safety, economic development, and into roads and infrastructure. And those are all things that we've worked really, really hard on over the years. So those are things I plan to continue to work on, you know, as needed in the district, among the million other things that don't fit into those three categories. But those are definitely going to be the top priorities that we work on. And over the next year, you know, I'd like to say 90 days, but realistically, probably over the next year, a significant focus is going to be on relief from everything we've gone through with COVID. We don't know if we're really going to get back to work. We just, nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. And part of that is we don't know the impact it's going to have on our budget yet. You know, we've seen some numbers from last year's budget, you know, expected to be down 8 or 9 million, I think. And then, oh, that could be a lot higher. It could be less. Again, there's so many unknowns right now to see how that's going to really impact the city being able to move forward from a funding status as well. So understanding the budget, understanding the priorities, understanding where we can and cannot squeeze a dime out of something is going to be really, really important moving forward in this next budget cycle. As is with every changeover in mayor, when you're elected in early March, and quite often a base this large is going to be a runoff. So then you've got April before you really make a decision and then take office. The budget is due by the end of June. So there's not a whole lot of time for a new mayor to think through it. And so we'll probably have a continuation budget for a few months, and people that understand that process, again, going to be very important. I've been through it a few times, so we will most likely have a continuation budget to allow the new administration to determine whether or not the budget in its current format is one that administration wants to use going forward as well.
Let's start with why I want to run. I want a Chattanooga that's safe, and I want it to be safe for all of us. I also want to give an alternative. For the past election, there was only one person on the ballot. So I wanted to make sure that District 3 had an option. There were only 15,000 registered voters in my district, and of those 15,000 registered voters, only 2,000 showed up. So I feel like not everyone had that connection with being represented, and I wanted to represent more people. I also care about individual liberties. I think that's one thing that amongst politicians and people running for office, they don't have. They want to control us, and it's either one side or the other. So I want to push for individual liberties. And I just feel like that's something that we don't have.